Everybody, in this video, we're going to talk about the current status of U.S. embassies and consulates worldwide. This is based on a recent briefing with Consular Affairs Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary, and we'll go over the key points in that briefing so you know exactly what's happening right now with embassies and consulates worldwide. In January 2020, there were about 75,000 cases pending at the National Visa Center, NVC, ready for interviews. In February 2021, there were about 473,000 cases at NVC sitting there waiting for interviews. This is in less than 15 months. What is the State Department going to do about it? Let's get into the press briefing and try to get some answers for you. Everybody, and welcome back to our immigration channel. This is a place where you get the most up-to-date immigration news, immigration updates, and everything else that you need to make your immigration journey less stressful. My name is Jacob Sapochnick, and I'm an immigration attorney located in San Diego, California, and I help clients in all 50 states. If you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. And give us a big like so YouTube will be able to recommend this video to more people just like you. So the State Department organized a briefing with the Secretary Julie Staff to discuss the current state of affairs with embassies and consulates worldwide, specifically after the lifting of Proclamation 114. So Secretary Staff started the briefing by saying that they understand that applicants who are waiting both in the US, the US petitioners, and the beneficiaries overseas are more than just statistics to the State Department. They understand that they're human beings. She said they understand the hardship of the people waiting because of the pandemic, and all these factors are very important to the State Department. She also said at the same time it's important to protect the State Department employees. She also states that it's a priority for them to protect the health and safety of their personnel, the staff, the consular officers that are at the embassies. It is a priority for them as they start to reopen these embassies and consulates. And again, my interpretation of this is that they're setting the ground to say, listen, we understand that people are suffering, but at the same time, we have to be mindful of how we're going to be reopening these embassies with all the different concerns with health, with staffing, with how many people can be inside the consulates. It is the premise for this entire briefing. Next, Secretary of Staff moved to acknowledge the lifting of Proclamation 114. She also said something very interesting. After the removal of Proclamation 115, she said there are no general restrictions remaining on issuing immigrant visas anymore. However, she stated that there are many immigrants that are still subject to other proclamations, specifically the travel ban from Schengen, the 14 days quarantine requirements, and as we know, Proclamation 152 is still in effect, and that she mentioned as well. She then proceeded to talk about some statistics. She said that before the pandemic, the State Department were issuing 10 million visas a year. 500,000 of those visas were specifically immigrant visas. The rest were other categories. So let's talk about the current scope of operations of the State Department. Remember that before the pandemic, each year they were processing 10 million visas. Out of those 10 million visas, 500,000 were immigrant visas. As a result of the pandemic, there are less people that can move safely through the State Department facilities like embassies and consulates for interviews. So less people can get in to be interviewed, which means the wait lines are going to be increasing. At the same time, in addition to restricting the number of visa applicants that can physically be inside the consulate, there are also less people working for the State Department that are able to be inside the embassy or consulate at a given time. So less people interviewing, less people being interviewed. That means longer lines, longer wait times for people to get their interviews appointments in the next year or so. According to this briefing, while in the past they were able to see hundreds of people a day at each consulates, right now they had to reduce the number of people that they can interview. In addition to that, they're not able to waive those interviews. They have to see people in person one at a time and take their fingerprints. So given all these facts, the wait times are expected to increase significantly. So what is the State Department actually going to do to face these challenges and find solutions? According to this briefing, they're going to focus on three main areas. Number one, the State Department has prioritized the processing of immigrant visas at all consulates and embassies worldwide. This is, like I said, very recent information based on the March 1st briefing from secretary staff. What that means is that if they have capacity, the first visas to be interviewed are going to be immigrant visas. Among immigrant visas, they will continue to prioritize the visas of spouses and children of US citizens. So not only they're going to start prioritizing all immigrant visas, but within immigrant visas, the priorities are going to be given to spouses and children of US citizens. In addition to that, she specifically stated in that briefing that priorities will also be given to K1 fiancé visas. Priority visas to K1 visas subject to regional restrictions. So again, as you know, consulates are opening on a case-by-case basis. In different countries, they're opening in different schedules. But as long as there's no regional restrictions, no problem in the country, K1 visas should not be held. Number two, the second thing they're going to do is the State Department is always looking for creative ways to increase the number of immigrant visa appointments they can process at any given day. What that means is that every post will do whatever it takes to make sure they can accommodate different immigrant visa applicants based on the current country conditions and the status of the particular embassy. For example, one embassy had to create specific spaces within the embassy. So outside of the regular interview rooms, like in most embassies, they have a space where you walk in, there's a glass window, and they interview applicants. Again, those are very limited spaces. So in this particular case, this embassy were able to expand other areas of that particular embassy, like maybe back rooms, side offices. They converted them to interview spaces so that they're able safely to see more applicants. These are some more creative ways that other different embassies are taking to be able to accommodate more immigrant visa interviews, even though they're not able to do so in the current limited space they have for regular interviews. That's great news. Other embassies are actually training additional staff, people that are not normally doing interviews, to be able to do interviews. This way increasing the staff members that are actually able to conduct interviews. So if typically they have 5 people that do interviews, if they're going to be able to train 5 more, now they have more capacity to actually conduct those immigrant visa interviews and make sure that people are being able to be processed in a more efficient way and be able to see more people. It seems like embassies across the world are now trying to innovate individually. So while one embassy is fixing more space in the back and converting rooms that were normally not interview rooms into interview rooms, other embassies are training more staff to be able to accommodate more people. These are really, really good news. Based on these great updates, we can kind of see what's going to happen at the State Department, how they're planning to start tackling this backlog. 473,000, almost 500,000 of these immigrant visas pending in the queue. They have to start being creative to be able to cut through the backlog and start interviewing people ASAP. Another important takeaway from this briefing is that if you had a case that was previously refused under Proclamation 114 or any other proclamations that were lifted by President Biden, the US embassies and consulates worldwide are going to give them priority. And it's your responsibility to contact the embassy or consulates that you're dealing with to let them know that since the proclamations have been lifted and you've been waiting, you want to know what's the status of your case and when an interview can be scheduled for you. But they specifically said that they're going to be prioritizing all these cases that were initially refused just because of their proclamations. The State Department stated in this briefing that 90% of the 136 consulates and embassies worldwide that process immigrant visas, 90% are processing certain immigrant visas at the moment. The rest of them currently only do emergency appointment. So remember, this is really good news from just a few months ago where we had much less of these embassies and consulates that did any appointments. Now 90% of them are starting to process immigrant visas and the rest do emergency appointments. So as you can see, we got some really good information in this video. The bottom line is that there is severe backlog and the State Department is aware of it and they're taking action. They are revising the procedures, they're making more space at embassies and consulates, they're training more staff, and they're prioritizing immigrant visas. So I feel with concentrated efforts, they're going to start going at this backlog month after month, and we will see a decrease in the wait time, hopefully. And hopefully they're going to do some more things. I don't think they're going to waive interviews anytime soon, as they see it as a national security, but the fact that they're taking action, the fact that they're being transparent about it, and I'm able to share that with you is good news, because those of us that are stuck and they're anxious, at least we know that something is happening and things are going to get better as the months continue to progress. So hopefully you found this information helpful. If you know somebody that may benefit, make sure you share this video. Let me know any questions in the comments below. And if you do want to talk to me, make sure you text me at this number, 619-483-4549, and I'm happy to consult with you as well. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you never miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.